Join Syntex in saving the bees through AI and data.
Welcome to the Art of Intelligence, where we decode the future of AI one story, one use case, and one bold idea at a time. I'm your host, Barlas Yuce, inviting you to join me and industry leaders as we explore how artificial intelligence is reshaping our world, from the boardroom to the classroom and beyond. Whether you're an innovator, a skeptic, or just AI curious, this is your front row seat to the real conversations and practical insights behind the buzzwords. Let's paint the bigger picture together. Today on Art of Intelligence, we're joined by Farron Rucker, a leader from Syntex, who's helping to bridge advanced technology with one of our nature's most important workers, the honeybee. Farron and the team at Syntex have been exploring innovative ways to monitor and protect beehives using data and intelligent systems to better understand hive health, productivity, and the broader environmental impact of these critical pollinators. In this conversation, we'll dig into how their work with bees is shaping thinking around sustainability, agriculture, and the future of AI-powered environmental stewardship. Welcome, Farron.
Thank you. Great to be here. Great to be here.
Very glad. Farron, before we get into a little bit more about yourself, every one of our guests that comes on this show has a get-to-know-you question, like most podcasts. And for you, being that you're a car guy, the thing that I would like to ask you about is if you could have any car on the planet, money is no object, you could just choose it, any color, anything. What would be your dream car?
Oh, okay. Man, I'd have to be pretty classic. I'd say like a 1969 Camaro with a LSX engine, so like one of the newer modern engines. But I keep it as classic as possible outside of drivetrain. I think just the 69 Camaro is just absolutely beautiful. I think it like set the stage for so many other cars after that. So I'd say that would be my dream car, and plus they're easy to work on. So that would be my like first dream car.
What
Yeah,
color would you?
I would say red, or graphite or dark gray. So yeah, either of the two. So yeah, I'd have it lowered, maybe 2 inches, exhaust, 6 speed for sure. So you have to have a manual. So yeah, that would be my dream car for sure.
I do like the muscle cars. My neighbor has an 81 Corvette, which the 81 Corvette doesn't have very much power, right? I think it's like 150 horsepower, ridiculously low. But he pulled out the engine and he put a 350 in it. And so now it sounds wonderful. It's an anniversary edition for 1981, and it's got that big, front part to it with the flared out fender wheels. It's really, really nice. I'm geeking out over it. But Farron, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this.
Oh yeah.
Well, you heard the introduction, and we know that you work for Syntex. We know that you're helping the world one beehive at a time. But can you give us a little background on Farron and Syntex itself?
Yeah. So I've been in my undergrad's a double E, or electronics engineer, but I've been in the AI and data science space for roughly 12 years now. Helping different organizations solve problems with data. And so I've had a lot of fun. I worked in multiple industries from a data perspective. I worked with weapon systems, again, their data, weapon systems, IT, engineering. I've worked with life science and then biotech, which is kind of our current industry, biotech and life science. And so with Syntex, the primary function is helping organizations get ready for AI. Like, what are the things they need to be successful in implementation? Like, how do they find applicable AI solutions, data curation, getting all their data into one place, and also improving like the data literacy at our organization. And so we set up organizations to be successful in implementing applicable AI solutions, as well as setting up different platforms. So yeah, that's in a nutshell of my space. So.
Well, let's talk about Farron. These shows are not only about your company, but I'd love to learn about what got you into the engineering
Oh,
portion. Why why are you so interested in engineering and not politics or going into being a race car driver? What
right,
makes you
right.
in love with data?
And so, yeah, started the career off as a double E, troubleshooting circuit boards and avionics equipment and different complex systems. And I actually competed in a national hackathon or data challenge. And that's where I like fell in love with data science and AI because I'm like, wow, the level of power and things that you could do with the data and transforming a division, organization, team is was really impactful. And so I transitioned from the traditional circuit boards, oscilloscopes, and problem solving with electronics to problem solving with the data. And so, but yeah, I've always loved to solve problems since I was a teen, working on cars with my dad. And I just transitioned from solving problems with oscilloscopes and different tool set is all that's changed, but I'm still at the core problem solving, helping, bringing an impact. And I enjoy breaking things and putting them back together and exploring. And so data science and AI has been a kid in a candy store in concept. And so I love solving problems. I have a passion for enabling people. So the seeing someone that, had barriers and, couldn't make progress in a certain area and being able to come in and help them, whether it's a tooling or process improvement, and enabling them to do it themselves has been super rewarding. That goes across my clients, goes with my mentees. Like I love enabling and helping people move faster. So.
I do love it. Um, so with syntax, just to get back to syntax, what sparked syntax interest in bees specifically, and how did that idea evolve from concept to real initiative? And also, if you can give a little background on exactly how syntax helps the bees or the bee
Oh
industry.
yeah. Oh, good question. Yeah, so there's an organization, a great organization called Urban Bee Labs. So we would call them like a bee stewards. So as far as, they study bees, they collect field data, they help different organizations set up their own beehives. So they're an enabler for helping people set up beehives, right? And so they've been a great organization working with members like Noah and Dennis O'Connell have been phenomenal in that initiative. And so they've been collecting data for years and wanted to understand a more data-driven approach. Like, hey, we have all this data, but we're not exactly sure what to do with it, which is common across multiple industries. And so we were introduced to them and because we're passionate about like life science and biotech, yeah, we sat down, we helped them to scope and understand like the problem that they're trying to solve. They wanted to be data driven, they wanted to be proactive, but they just had tons of data, didn't know exactly what to do with it. And so we were able to come in, set up their infrastructure. So it's a hybrid of an on-premise solution and cloud. So we were able to um, set up all their data pipelines, take data from several different public data sources, and bring it all together, curate it, and then we applied a few different AI components to it to help them become more proactive and predictive in the future bee health. And so we set up an entire life science pipeline with bee health and monitoring, and then we also set up dashboards. So not only did we collect the data, process the data, we put it into a dashboard or a platform that's intuitive. So anyone could go on the platform and understand the bee health and bee indicators throughout the country. I think we were monitoring over 10 million bees across the country. So
Wow,
yeah, so it's been a very impactful project.
crazy. 10 million bees. I can't even imagine that number. But that's fantastic. Can you walk us through what a smart or data-driven beehive looks like in the world, and what kind of signals were captured during this kind of experiment with Urban Bee Lab?
Yeah, so they collect field data. It's it is currently they work with a subject matter expert or one that monitors the beehives. They collect, tons of field data. Some are monthly, some are quarterly, some are biweekly. They collect that data, they put it into our system, and then we curate and pull in several data sources such as altitude, temperature, um, moisture, tons of different environmental indicators. And then we pull in things like different pests or diseases as well based on that particular zip code. So we have roughly 40 or so environmental indicators, including the field data. And then we pull all that data in together, and then we're able to predict the future. We can tell you the current bee health. We have a health score, and then with our AI models, we're able to tell you the future health of a particular beehive across the country. So,
And maybe even rate them according to other bees, like you are
yes,
number 9,440th bee
yeah.
level or something like that.
We have a adjacent to that, and that's a really good idea. We have a comparison. You could see how your beehive is compared to beehives within your area. So you can look at, okay, well, what is the hive performance within my beehive versus my neighbor? And so we have some of those metrics built in. So you could just go to the dashboard and then see how your overall bee health compares to your
Right.
neighbor.
That's awesome.
Um,
Does that have a way for you to reach out to your neighbor and go, hey, Bob, I see your bee health is, 30% better than mine. What are you doing that I'm not?
I like that community approach with that component. Yeah, that's a really good idea. We could set up an indicator, like, hey, here's the average bee health or the average health. It would be health. We call it a bee health score, and it's literally letter grades. So it's they get an A, B, C, D, and F, meaning that the hive had died. And so yeah, that's a great. We could put in those type of like notifications to help them become more proactive.
That'd be awesome. That would be fantastic. And so the data that the field data that they're collecting are they things like temperature and um, you know how the what kind of flowers are in the area, how far they are away from water, things like that.
Yeah, so we field data would be like frames of honey and the current health or hive conditions, um, the zip code, so like location of the beehive. They have roughly 12, 10 or 12 like field data points that the collectors bring in. And then we pull that into um, our system using those curated data sets. So yeah, it's pretty standard. And now we're also looking at expanding the collection to Africa. I believe it's an organization in Ghana that is collecting
Definitely.
that collects wow, that collects bee data. And so we're looking at ways we could adopt that within our system.
That's fantastic. What are some of the things that the data that you collect that you would think are counterintuitive? Like something that normally people would look at and
Ooh,
go, that doesn't sound right, but I guess it's true.
right. So I'd say every one of the things I'd like to dig into more, it's not a causation, but it's more about you can see a pattern with the disease. So if the disease rate within a particular beehive is high, it does impact the productivity of that hive. So there's a like a positive relationship within those if you graph it over time. But we haven't dug into the why that is. It could be, hey, it's in the, winter time and like disease might increase, or the number of bees within that particular hive have decreased. but yeah, that's something we probably want to dig into a bit more. But altitude was one of the things that we realized actually impacted the health of beehives, the predictive health of the beehive. So elevation. So we noticed that there's a metric called the feature importance. So it's an indicator that tells you like what the model thought was most important when making a decision. And altitude was actually top five,
I'm
which
guessing
I wouldn't have
altitude
thought about.
higher.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah. So it's I wouldn't have even thought I would have thought it'd just been like temperature and maybe like if there's rainfall or things of that nature. But in reality, top five was in altitude, which those that were like in high rises or in cities was actually doing really well, which I wouldn't have assumed kind of going
Hmm.
into the data.
Can you tell me? I mean, it's interesting. Why would bees in the cities do better than bees out in a field full of flowers?
Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, like in Berkeley, California, bees were doing well. Some that were in San Francisco were doing really well. We didn't, due to the volume of bees, since we were dealing with over 10 million estimate bees, we didn't dig down any further. We just set up different indicators. What would be great is to as we expand the collaboration to work with different organizations and scientists, then what we've done is we've been able to take millions of bees, over 300 or 3,000 unique hives across the country, and we've been able to now identify like some of those outliers. We've been able to identify some of those key indicators. And so using people that have that domain expertise with bees will be like the next step. Hey, now that we've identified and provided you these environmental indicators, now let's partner with the right people that have that deep level and domain expertise. Now, Noah, who has a PhD and studied bees for years, but he can't do it all himself, right? And so his organization can't do it all himself. So partnering with those scientists and R&D and some of those organizations would be great, because then we can go down deeper per city, per state, and all it could be a collaborative approach.
I love it. It'd be really awesome. I mean, this is just me spitballing it out. Is if you got a couple of companies like AT&T, Regis, Amazon, Google, Azure, and got them to allow you to put some beehives on all of their millions of square feet of real estate, Walmart, any of these companies, I think they would really appreciate it.
Man, that is actually a really good idea because I think when you look at a Walmart or an AT&T, you're just like, oh, they're building a big factory, they're taking away. But if they countered some of that by installing like beehives, they could, hey, they're still running in business, but then they're still giving back to the environment by increasing the beehive monitoring footprint. So I think that would be great. Because yeah, bees, a lot of people it's kind of like a vague concept, like, hey, bees are important, but really every third bite someone takes is actually from, bees that pollinated the food. I think bees account for almost 40% of like global food, so they're huge. So I think having some of those initiatives with some of these larger organizations would help like make that like really drive that understanding of how important bees are to the environment.
I'm going to copy this video to all of the charitable portions of Amazon, Google, Azure, AT&T, and see if we can get someone to bite. You hear that, guys? We're going to make you be famous.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Can
Absolutely.
can you give me what some of the Syntax B initiative data that is contributing to the broader conversation about sustainability and biodiversity?
I think that is definitely more of a group question. So I may not be the most qualified to answer that, but I'd say just the bee data, creating this monitoring system. I think kind of going back to your previous as far as getting these other larger organizations involved, like having a benchmark and monitoring system is just huge off top. That is the baseline where we can create these environmental indicators, because if bees are doing well in a particular location, then agriculturally it should be doing well. They're a phenomenal environmental indicator. And so increasing these monitoring systems for bee health across the country is absolutely huge. In the past 3 years, there's more bees dying. I think it's 50 to 60% of bees are actually dying
Wow, that
than
high.
living. Yeah, in the past few years. So it's like, oh wow, like more bees are dying than living. And so that's a huge problem. That impacts our food, that impacts the uh, diversity of our food, right? We're at one point going to have less options. And all this also does the ripple effect. What it does is it increases the cost in grocery stores, right? So we're losing bees. The food prices continue to increase, and then we have less options from a food standpoint. And so, partnering with scientists and larger organizations and investing in like these monitoring systems, I think is huge. And this could start as early as even high school. I think if people could kind of understand and be more aware of bee health even as early as high school, they could also make that impact on the type of careers and the type of initiatives
Brilliant.
that they're a part of. So, uh, yeah, that would be my response to that.
Could you imagine if you had a program that allowed every high school in the United States to have a bee program on their roof? How much that would increase bee levels in pollinators in all parts of the world? That would be phenomenal. I think that would be a really, really awesome program to get behind, and also teach kids about where their food comes from.
Yeah,
To not, I'll admit, when I was young boy growing up, young Barlas running around, one of our things that we didn't care about bees. No one told us anything about bees. So I
yep,
remember being 11 years old in Montreal. It was the bees were always swarming around all of our trash cans. And what all the boys did was take their jackets and swat them and try to kill them as much as possible, because we're scared of anything that can hurt us, and because they're easy targets. They don't move super
yep,
fast. They're right around
yep,
all the
yep,
food, or
yep.
something sweet.
So
So
true.
I would have loved it if someone had explained to me, why not to be scared. Now, due to Ryan Norton, he's
The
making reasons
guru.
that I'm even liking bees these days, because before I was just like, eh. But he had a hive, as you know, and it's made me a lot less um, like scared, for lack of a better word,
Yep,
of when
yep,
I come near bees or see bees. And I think if more people got that education, I think that would help, right? Because then we're not killing the bees
huge.
for the sake of killing bees when we're kids.
Yep,
But having
so
those on
true.
high schools as well would be great. And like the Javits Center in New York City has such a gigantic field of green sitting on
Mm.
top of it. All of us that go to
Yep.
AWS New York Summit see it every time. It's really interesting to think of all the things that can be done with what you guys are doing. Um, let's say we get bunches of companies that have real estate everywhere, and they're listening to this podcast right now. Is there anything that they can do to launch a kind of a living lab initiative using nature as a data source? Or what are 2 or 3 practical lessons you'd share from the Hive journey?
Let's see. Um, I'd say just the awareness. So that's definitely one of the things that you brought up is like you just didn't know. So I think that awareness is really important. I'd say working with organizations like Urban Bee Lab, where they could guide and help um, mid, small, and even larger companies, because again, they've been in it so long, they understand like some of the best practices and implementing successful beehives. I think um, I think that going back to like the youth, I think would be extremely important uh, because that awareness could then bring change. The thing is, bees are dying for tons of reasons. It's flooding, it's environment, like it's an extremely harsh environment for bees, and it's been for the past 5 to 10 years. And so having that awareness even early on could impact the future of work in a really big way. I think the idea of increasing like monitoring systems from like those larger organizations would be huge. It's not a big lift for them, but it's a huge impact to the community. And then again, we could tie that with the life sciences organizations, the nonprofits, the ones that are specializing in all of the R&D research. So I think it's a full circle, could be a phenomenal initiative. I think people that, let's say, hey, I can't do anything today and things of that nature, but they want to kind of get started, just being aware and shopping at grocery stores that support the healthier bee community, stores that um, don't support just the harsh chemicals within the bee environment. But I think just awareness is huge. Getting the word out, working with subject matter experts, increasing the monitoring systems would be huge. And we've working with these scientists, these true field scientists, has been we have the domain expertise from a data and AI perspective, but working with the subject matter experts in that field has been phenomenal. And so what and then it validates that our solutions are working. So I'd say prior to working with us, we have all this data. After this group collaboration, it's we can tell you the health of bees across the country. We can predict the future bee health. We also have an AI component that can provide recommendations on how to increase the bee health at any particular unique beehive across the country. So we can say, hey, there's something wrong, but here's how to fix it, and here's how to improve on that situation. We just need to work with other organizations that share the same passion, because 2026 could be a huge year. We could increase monitoring, we can increase awareness, we can help increase the life of bees that's been dramatically impacted the past few years.
I love it. You know, I know that there's a lot of people that I know personally that when a bee flies by them, they have to run far away. My daughter is like that a little as well. She's not a big fan of bees, to say the least. When she was 2 years old, she tried to grab one and thought it was cute and pet it, and it stung her. And so since then, she's kind of had a phobia. But I think there's a lot of people that have that issue of when a bee comes near that they get very scared. And I think educating people on, how and why bees live and what they do, and you know if you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone, kind of initiative. I think don't be scared of the bees. Something needs to be done, and it's some kind of a campaign. I think what you're saying
Yeah.
is phenomenal. I think this could be the year of the bee if we all focused on it, and I think if we can get enough companies to get behind this, it would be phenomenal. And I know Ryan Norton and Noah and you are big proponents of this. I don't think I would mind if we had a panel discussion on one of the
That'd be
future
perfect.
podcasts, getting everyone together on one of these podcasts and just having a deep conversation as to how can we get this thing to the next level, because I'm passionate about it. Brian got me on fire about it. Talking with you, the information is there. Giving companies that bee health, it just seems like a wonderful thing
When
to do.
it does, and I think as long as it's collaborative, it's not tons of work, right? And also Dennis O'Connell has been great. He's been working with a company that has like collects sensor data and field data, so they could tell you like the types of species within in the environment. And so we're looking at also an audio feature of processing like
Phenomenal.
terabytes of audio data from bees in the near future. I think, yeah, it's a collaboration, it's awareness, it's working with scientists, and again, we're literally impacting on a global scale if we're able to replicate the same system within the States. We're already working with organizations in Africa. I think there's no reason we all can't succeed.
I like it. We should call it the Bee Avengers Initiative.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. Get t-shirts,
Yeah.
I think
The Bee
it'd be epic.
Avengers
Yep.
Initiative. B. I. No,
And
B. Bay
well,
Avengers Initiative.
I like it. I think so. And I think this year with visibility and awareness, I think bees should be as important as recycling. Like
More. More. I
like
think it should be
it's
more.
just like it should be. I would agree. I think it should be more. And I think if we can create that awareness and that narrative, and hey, we're like impacting generations, then yeah, I think it's a win-win.
I think if people can have an Afghan hound rescue, that we should have more bee rescue.
Yep, agreed. Oh, sorry. One other company to mention was the Detroit Bees. They actually have a slightly different approach. They set up beehives within abandoned buildings, like
Ooh.
abandoned places, like old houses that aren't used, and the city actually donates this space, and so they actually install these beehives, and their beehives are based on the data and information. Their beehives are actually thriving in
I
these
love that.
abandoned. So we could take commercial buildings, add monitoring systems. We could take abandoned buildings, add monitoring systems, which again is currently being
Wow.
done. And then, smaller organizations could set them up. Universities, like it can be a whole. So I'm super super excited.
That's
Yeah, super
that sounds
excited.
phenomenal.
Yep,
You could have a you could start a network of bee advocates in every
yep,
city and say, I need you to go talk to your city council. All those empty
yep,
houses that are just sitting there empty, we need to turn them into,
yep.
gigantic. Now, I know we're
So
coming up
true.
on some of the end of our time, and we've got about 10 minutes left. But looking ahead, what's next for you in Syntax in this space? Do you see this expanding into other species or more locations or deeper integrations with customers and partners?
I think, we did a lot with the organizations that were previously mentioned last year, and we were able to accomplish some really, really cool things. I think definitely being aligned to the right partners and expanding our current partnerships, but we want to be aligned to the right partners that allow us to move faster. So we want to increase monitoring. We have some really great models so far, but we'd love to also work with universities, right? There's Stanford, UC Davis, or East Coast, West Coast, it doesn't matter. We want to expand our reach and visibility and make people really understand like the impact of these to their everyday. And so, increase again, we're moving into like the audio processing of bee data as well. So I think that'll provide some additional clarity. So yeah, just working with great companies.
And
This first and
HTLS
second
as
point.
well, right? Like doing some
Yes.
things with HTLS, maybe some hospitals and other large formats of data.
Yes. So yeah, we're pretty heavy in like the biotech and healthcare space as well. We're building a couple of different platforms. One's surrounded around personalized medicine. We're able to we have some pretty complex models, cardiovascular and cancer models that we've been running. There's a tech and biopharma event next month in San Francisco that I'll be speaking at, or I'll be
Oh,
on a panel with
I
other.
would love to go.
Yeah, I'll send you the information. Like it's through the Commonwealth Club and Melanin Science. So they're hosting a really big event. Currently they're scheduled to have up to 400 people to attend, and so super or
Wow.
enroll. So super excited for that. But yeah, so we're pretty heavy in the biotech, predictive analytics space as well. So we've been able to create some pretty complex models and platforms. Yeah, the life sciences is my impact to the environment on more of a global national scale, but biotech and medicine, personalized medicine is my my contribution more to like humanity and helping people move faster and helping doctors improve their diagnostics and performance. So that's my contribution in that area.
Love it. Uh, and and we'll make sure that Leslie Ramirez Cook is copied on this podcast, so she can also get with you. She's over AWS's HCLS Partners program.
Okay.
We'll get you all set up with her and Leslie. Nice to see you again.
Excellent.
The last portion of this, the whole reason why we have this podcast and the whole reason why people listen, and we leave it to the end, is to get a unique AI use case that we haven't talked about yet with you here today. So do you have a unique AI use case that you'd like to talk or give us a brief overview of maybe something that can help humanity as a whole, or just help you out, or something that you would like to see in the future?
Okay. I'd say I'll quickly recap the Beehive project because I think it's a unique AI use case that no one thinks about. Like when I bring up this project to people, AI and beehives, they're like real bees. I'm like, yes, real bees. We want to predict the future bee health. We've been able to do that. We want to create a system that provides recommendations on how to improve bee health of a troubled or predicted to die beehive. We've created that system and it's performing well. Currently also working on a personalized medicine platform where we've built a diagnostic, prognostic, and therapeutic model targeted for cardiovascular and cancer. These therapeutic models, I think, will be phenomenal. That's something I'm deeply exploring and building. I think building personalized medicine as a platform is great because you do that in conjunction with a doctor, someone with the domain expertise. I think AI should be used to help those move faster, not a replacement. And so, yeah, that's where my head currently is enabling doctors to move faster, enabling doctors to perform better, having the right assistance to increase performance. So that's where my headspace is currently.
Love it. You know, we've had a couple of healthcare folks on our podcast over the last year, and it always comes down to doctors are not replaceable. I think there's a lot of folks that see doctors as being replaceable, but at the end of the day, AI is not human. It cannot make decisions based off of humanity. It's going to make decisions based off of data, and sometimes, or a lot of times, humans need to look at that data. And I think one of my past podcast guests said it best. He talked to a doctor, and the doctor said, I use AI for everything. And the reason is because it's like having 1,000 doctors' knowledge over the last 200 years at your fingertips. And it just gives you a better way of doing things.
Very true. I like that. Yeah, and I think I really like that. And I think what's great about it is like there's so many hospitals and kind of challenging areas where they might have, not enough doctors or low staffed, but they need to see, hundreds of patients per day. And so if you were able to hand these type of systems or have these type of systems in hand for these doctors and nurses, they're able to increase their performance now. And they're not only seeing 100 patients, they're seeing 100 patients and they've increased quality because they're using data in parallel to their domain expertise. And so so I'm totally in agreement with the level of knowledge in conjunction with that domain expertise.
Yeah, and less lawsuits. When you find all kinds of stuff early, then one of the highest costs of medicine is the fact that doctors are sued, right or wrong. I'm not going to get into something like that with my online listeners, but whether it's right or wrong, at the end of the day, insurance costs go straight up. And when doctors have to pay that level of insurance because they could get sued for millions of dollars, it means that our healthcare also goes up. So it is what it is. But Farron, thank you so much for your time today. You've been a wonderful guest. Today's conversation with Farron Rucker really captured what the art of intelligence is all about. the unexpected places where data, AI, and human creativity show up, like inside a beehive. Each of these stories pushes the boundaries of how we think about technology's role in sustainability, agriculture, and environments we all depend on. Remember, bees are our neighbors, and we need to take care of them. As Farron said earlier, 50 to 60% of the bees are no longer with us, and it's not forefront like you were saying with recycling or with, like I was saying, the Afghan hounds. You can't care more about Afghan hounds than you can about the entire planet for your children and grandchildren. So if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe to the Art of Intelligence podcast on either the website, vbpcloud.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, or YouTube. We release new episodes every other week featuring builders, operators, and creators who are putting AI to work in the real world. And if you want to keep the momentum going between episodes, check out What You Missed in AI Use Cases, a quick hit article that drops every Monday where we break down the most interesting practical AI applications from the past week so you can keep up to date with those ideas in your own work. This is Barlas and Farron signing up, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Take care.